New coaches are coming to Athens? Question mark. Are they going to stay in Athens? Also question mark. And if they do stay in Athens, is Alabama still even a program? Big question mark. And we'll talk about it today on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. He is Daniel. I am Clint. Thanks for making us your first listen. Today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. More on them in a moment. Daniel, we are talking about a few things today. One, we're talking about a new co-defensive coordinator coming into Athens.
That's right.
From Alabama.
Been announced, decision made. All of that is official.
It's official. Okay. Mm-hmm. Part two, we're going to talk about what that means for Georgia. We're going to give you the news. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk about, and then we're going to talk about what it means for a little spunky program, just a little upstart program down
trying
in
to get their feet under them.
I think is how you pronounce that.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of Alabama.
It starts with a T, so technically it's still T-Town, but the T stands for Tuscaloosa and Tuscaloosa only at this point. But that Orange Bowl a few years ago, you can't take it away from them. You will not be able to take it away.
I think what, just real quick, just from my podcaster's heart to the fans, thank you for being 199 loyal third segment listeners. You guys are incredible. We've seen huge gains this year in you guys being part of us, and we really appreciate it. So just from one podcaster's heart to another, I think that this is our gift for being Georgia fans and going through.
We've suffered.
Okay. Mm-hmm. To come off of a year in which our defense was down, to lose to Alabama, and then to look at, oh no, we can't do the three-peat anymore. Now what do we do? And for this to be gifted to us, good things do really come to good people. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that is true. Speaking of good people, Travaris Robinson is he's been on the Alabama staff for a little bit of time, working with the secondary there in Tuscaloosa. And Kalen DeBoer comes in, and some
is that Lane Kiffin's daughter?
I'm sorry, no,
it's not.
No, that's a man, and he was formerly the coach of the Washington Huskies, and he is now the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide. He was first on every Alabama fan's list. He was the only coach they offered. He was the only coach they interviewed, the only person that they showed any interest in.
There was an airplane Wednesday before Nick Saban's announcement. They were already in
is their number one choice. He was their number one choice. There's no dispute of that. Travaris Robinson, Kirby swoops in. Lo and behold, just the drama of all this, which, by the way, as we're recording this right now, there's still possibility Alabama's trying to take Travaris Robinson back, trying to maybe offer him the defensive coordinator position.
Sure.
Who in the world knows how it's all going to shake out? We'll just watch it and see it unfold. But as of right now, this is what's happened so far. Kirby Smart sees an available defensive coach. And this is one of the bright, young defensive minds. He's come up through the ranks. He's worked closely and extensively with Will Muschamp, been on the staff at Florida, been on the staff at South Carolina. Was on the staff most recently at Alabama. He is, without a doubt, the best recruiter that was left in the building since Nick Saban has ridden off into the sunset.
Yep.
He is by far the best recruiter that Alabama had. And Kirby Smart said, I want him on my staff. But lo and behold, Georgia doesn't have any available on-field position coach spots available. Like, they don't have any room to offer this young man a spot. Clint, what are we going to do?
Why don't you just hold up for a hot minute, Daniel? Why doesn't Will Muschamp just go the way of? It seems like this is what you do at Georgia. Okay, there are two kind of coaches that come to Georgia. Coach one wants to become a head coach of a Power 5 program one day.
Hello, Dan Lanning. Hello, Glenn Schumann. Hello, Travaris Robinson.
Welcome
Yep.
to the
all will be successful head coaches.
Okay. Sure. And then 2 is good old boys that want to make a final hoorah, that want to come back home, that want to have good family ties, that then want to ride off into the sunset on their horse with their white hat. And that's what Will Muschamp is doing. Will Muschamp says,
yep, go ahead.
Okay, I got family and I can hang out with Kirby. I can be on staff at Georgia. I can give insight on the defense and I don't have to work 12 to 16-hour days. And I could be paid well and hang out with my family in Athens, Georgia.
Will Muschamp transitions to an off-field, basically a glorified analyst role.
Yeah.
This is Will Muschamp, the co-defensive coordinator at the University of Georgia. One of the most successful defensive coaches in recent college football memory. Correct. He says, yeah, I'll just sit back in the back and
want to hang out.
I'll just wear my old man glasses and I'll just draw up some plays if I could. Like, that'd be fun. That'd be great.
Can we like grab coffee and breakfast down over the Denny's or the
He's
Waffle House?
He's now in an off-field role, and Travaris Robinson comes in and assumes the co-defensive coordinator position, not only coaching the safeties, which is his specialty, but he's also stepping into that co-defensive coordinator role with Glenn Schumann. It is a wealth of riches in Athens at this point. Now, again, we said Alabama trying to potentially make moves to offer their defensive coordinator job to Travaris Robinson, see if they can get him to come back. Again, at the time of this recording, it's not happened. It's looking like it might be more. It looked like it was going to maybe happen, and it looks like at this point it might be a little bit more of a long shot. We're going to have to wait and see how it plays out. But as it stands right now, Clint, it is a wealth, a treasure trove of riches. We're going to talk about why this is important for Georgia. And then, as you said in the third segment, we're going to talk about how this affects Alabama. And we're going to do all of those things right after these.
But I'll let you know first about FanDuel. FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Make every moment more. FanDuel is the official sportsbook of Locked On Bulldogs, the official sportsbook of Locked On Podcasts everywhere. Daniel and I love them. We go over there. We made ourselves some money this year with Locks on Thursday over at FanDuel.
How about Georgia taking the road against South Carolina team? 13-2 South Carolina team on. Could Georgia get another road win on the basketball court? Head over to FanDuel, maybe find out what you could get on that.
You can get parlays. You can combine that with other SEC basketball play this weekend. This week, you can get NFL action. It's still heating up. Postseason is there. Hello, Packers. Thank you for that, Cash, because that was fantastic. Because if you know,
did you take an alt line Packers -30? Because
Cowboys in playoffs. This is all that I need to know.
Yeah.
And FanDuel is where we go. Right now, you can get $150 in bonus bets with a $5 bet. Head over to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Make every moment more. Let's talk about what this means for the Georgia Bulldogs before we get to Alabama and why this is so impressive for Kirby Smart. Now, I want to emphasize this is I think important in 3 aspects.
Okay.
Aspect 1, he is a fantastic coach.
On-field coach.
On-field coach with young gentlemen. He is exceptional.
Look at the growth of Caleb Downs this year. If you want to see a specific example of his, you take a raw 18-year-old, very talented, true freshman, and you stick him on the field at Alabama, which, by the way, struggled mightily in the secondary against a little old Texas team early in the season.
How'd they do at the end?
Look at the growth that you saw from that secondary over the course of the season, specifically the young safety, and you'll see what an on-field coach he is.
Okay, so Daniel and I are much chagrined because this year we're losing 3 safeties to the draft.
Great.
Okay.
It's not great.
And I should say 3 DBs, really, Kamari Lassiter, Javon Bullard, Tyke Smith, all gone. That's 3/4 of our stout defensive back end that really held this defense together with the linebacker play that was not exceptional this year. Okay, so now we got a guy coming in. We got a lot of young people, a lot of true freshmen, all-world talent.
Aguero, KJ Bolden. These guys, they need somebody.
Need to learn in a hurry. All of a sudden, boom, Robinson comes in. Second thing, recruiter. I just cannot tell you how much importance is on this fact that we now have in the building with us the number one recruiter in the nation. His name is Kirby Smart. Okay, so
undisputed. He's been that way for several years now. Can flip, can go after it. Number two, we have tight ends that don't grow on trees, that are grown in labs, and we seemingly have all of them just piping right into Georgia. So speaking of coaches that are going to be head coaches at major college football programs someday, Todd Hartley is he on the list.
Del McGee, has he shown his chops on the recruiting trail anytime?
That's just old. That's old hat at this point. That's just yawn, snooze fest. Del McGee out there doing what Del McGee does.
He does whatever he wants. Then you add another defensive end. Don't even get us started on the defensive end side. Now we get another defensive side coach, a mentality that knows these young gentlemen, young himself in the coaching ranks, energetic, knows how to recruit. If you thought it was an embarrassment of riches before with number one, it's not going to. There's literally zero, and I mean zero reason it's going to ever let down now. So that's number two.
Yeah, you got Kirby Smart, Glenn Schumann, and now Travaris Robinson out recruiting for you. There's other guys, right? But these are the top three defensive recruiters for sure. You got these three guys out on the trail. Now, Will Muschamp's obviously not going to be out on the trail recruiting as he's in that off-field role. But you don't think do recruits ever come to campus, Clint, before they?
There's many times. There's official, unofficial, lots of times in Athens.
You think they ever brush up against any of those guys in the building? You think Will Muschamp might just be just sitting in his office there?
He's not on the field, but he's not on the field. There's buildings next to the field.
Sure, they probably walk through those buildings. They probably bump into each other in the hallway. You got that face, the legacy of Will Muschamp, still holding strong in the recruiting sphere. But again, you take the guy that maybe is a little bit older, has maybe lost a step, not quite as much energy on the trail, and you replace him with a guy much more suited to that role in Travaris Robinson. It cannot be overstated that Georgia has taken the best recruiter off of the staff of its number one recruiting rival.
There's two teams that every year compete for the same upper crust, and it's proven out the last decade: Georgia and Alabama.
Florida. Number one, like rivalries. I'm not talking about rivalries. I'm talking about the number one recruiting rival of Georgia since Kirby Smart has stepped foot on campus.
Correct.
Has been Alabama. Those two schools. Now, is Ohio State going to get a lot of players? Absolutely, they are. Are schools like Florida State and Texas A&M, are they going to get players? Yes, of course they are. But year in and year out, these are the two schools. Now, you've not only made yourself better, but in making yourself better, you have made your number one competitor significantly worse. It is the definition of savage from Kirby Smart.
We're gonna extrapolate that more in third segment because I can't describe to you the level of shook that Bama fans should be about this
and are.
And if I could be honest,
we see your accounts going up all over the place. We see those accounts. We see them.
Oh my gosh, it's bad. Okay, so on field, he can develop quickly young, uber talented kids to compete in the SEC. Secondly, recruiting trail. And then thirdly, Daniel, this is the holistic nature that Kirby Smart is able to do now. What does Kirby Smart specialize in? Defense and defensive backs specifically. You bring in one of the top-minded defensive coaches to do that and a top recruiter to do that. Do you not understand that Kirby Smart is in fact very wise, and he understands that if he wants to keep doing this long term, if he wants to do this new NIL, this 12-team playoff SEC, everything has changed, that he's going to have a young, energetic, connected coach that knows what he's doing so that he can start deviating time and energy to other aspects of the program to shore us up in the long run. And that's what this move allows him to do. Kirby Smart's never going to take his hand off. He's never going to take his foot off the gas pedal. He's never going to give the reins over in totality. But delegation of responsibility to Robinson is going to be massive for our entire program as a whole to focus on other things elsewhere.
Yeah, we got a lot more to say about this. Specifically, I want to start the third segment with, if Alabama is offering him the defensive coordinator job,
sure,
why in the world would Travaris Robinson not take it? I'm going to tell you why right as we start the third segment right after these.
Right up, we talked about Jace Medical. Use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Sports is an escape for many of us, and right now it's not an escape for Bama fans. It is just a crushing elephant on your chest. The elephant is not doing anything but sitting on your chest.
It won't roll. It just won't roll off.
It just won't go.
It is just
disobedient elephant at this point. According to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics and like amoxicillin right now in the middle of the worst flu season in over a decade. That is scary. Can't imagine a more helpless feeling than not having enough medication to go around for children, for your family, for loved ones. Jace Pack is the answer. It's got 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, UTIs, respiratory infections, skin infections, many others. Visit jacemedical.com. Complete your physician encounter. Will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. Use jacemedical.com and use offer code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order. Bama fans, again, we see you. We hear you. Trust me. We hear you. We love that you're still here.
We love it. We love it. Congrats on the SEC championship. It was crushing to us. You beat us in a way that was crushing to us, and no one can ever take that away from you.
Again, quick question. I'm gonna offer you, Bama fan, before Daniel gets in. If I were to say to you, you can have the off season you're having now and keep the SEC championship, or you have to give up the SEC championship, but you don't have to have this off season you're having now. Which one would you choose? And so tell me why it's important that you're hanging the banner.
Oh, but they would choose Kalen DeBoer, Clint, because Kalen DeBoer is the greatest coach in the history of college football. Are you kidding me?
I just wanted to make sure that we're understanding each other well.
Yeah.
And Daniel, you had a question before we went to break. The Loyal 199 is here with us. They want to hear you pose this to them.
Yeah. So Travaris Robinson accepts the job at Georgia. And what we know is that since he has accepted that job, he has interviewed back at Alabama for the defensive coordinator job. So it is by no means a done deal at the time of this recording that he's in Athens to stay. We will see how it goes. And you cannot fault the man he left as the secondary coach at Alabama and came over as the co-defensive coordinator at Georgia. And now he's interviewing as the defensive coordinator at Alabama. So you cannot fault the man for taking an interview. This is not 1 foot in, 1 foot out. He's trying to make the best decision for his family. And you wouldn't bat an eye if he chose to go back to Alabama.
Nope.
But Alabama fan, let me explain to you why it might not be just a done deal just yet. Because it is possible, and I'm just speculating here, but it is possible that Travaris Robinson is a man of some intellect. Maybe he's got a few extra brain cells, a little extra gray matter up there in the old noggin, and he sees a little bit farther than just the ends of his fingers. And so he's able to look and forecast ahead. And when he looks at these two jobs, and he doesn't look at the immediate, now a solo defensive coordinator at Alabama
sounds wonderful,
is better than co-defensive coordinator at Georgia. Even as a Georgia fan, you're not going to find me arguing that point, okay? It is a more prestigious and it's a better resume job right now. But what if you were to extrapolate out a couple of years? Maybe Travaris Robinson sees what we see. Let's just look at both programs for a second.
Okay, let's compare and contrast, if you will.
Georgia, what's going to happen in the next couple years, Clint, at Georgia? Is Kirby Smart going to continue to win?
Yes.
Yeah. Is he going to continue to recruit the best players in the country?
Yes, again.
Is he going to continue to compete for national championships?
Thrice, yes.
Is Glenn Schumann going to remain the co-defensive coordinator at Georgia? No, he's not. Georgia fans, we know that. You know that. Alabama fans, surely you know that. He's going to accept a head coaching job when the right one opens up for him. If the right job had already opened up, he would have already accepted that job. But again, he's no dummy. You have not seen Georgia assistants leave Kirby Smart's staff for crappy jobs. Well, right? You haven't seen it. You've seen them leave for Power 5 jobs.
They've been the ones that Kirby has said, your services are no longer useful.
That is true. You've seen the elite assistants leave for Power 5 major college football jobs. That's what Glenn Schumann's going to get, and he's going to get it sooner rather than later. So Travaris Robinson looks ahead, and he says, oh, this job's about to be mine, and I'm going to be the solo defensive coordinator at Georgia, the team that is still winning and still whatever. And that is my stepping stone to become the next Dan Lanning, to become the next Glenn Schumann, instead of becoming the next defensive coordinator at Ole Miss, which is where Alabama defensive coordinators go after they leave Alabama. Have I said anything not factual so far, Marler? Just correct. Leave it in the comments and let me know what I've said that's not true. Now let's look at the other side of the coin. When Travaris Robinson looks at the Alabama program over the next couple of years,
okay,
maybe, and just maybe, this is crazy, I know, but maybe he sees what a lot of us see, which is that Kalen DeBoer is a great football coach.
Please, this is our assessment. He is a great football coach.
But he's being hired as a placeholder at the University of Alabama.
There it is.
He ain't it at Alabama. And the Alabama administration knows that. And all the Alabama fans in 2 years, when he's relieved of his duties and they make a major hire of like a big SEC guy, maybe Glenn Schumann, when that happens in a couple of years, all the Alabama fans are going to tell us he was always just right now they're saying Kalen DeBoer, the greatest young
he's going
coach
to build a legacy. All he has to do is learn how to recruit in the South, just like, by the way, Nick Saban didn't know how to do, because Nick Saban came from the Ohio Valley. That's right. So they're practically the same.
They're basically the same person. All we're banking on, the only thing we need to happen is for this man to be the same as a one-of-one greatest college football coach of all time. That's all we need.
All we need.
So as long as our second lottery ticket cashes, we'll be fine, guys.
And this is what's so, by the way, the fans out there who are just all over Robinson for saying, well, you're co-defensive coordinator. That's like assistant to the assistant manager. How embarrassing is that? Can I just point something out to you right now?
Yeah.
Nick Saban still has a parking spot, an office, and 100% access to the program. Do you not believe Kalen DeBoer is assistant to the assistant manager now at Alabama?
Your program is being fiddle-faddled with from above by Nick Saban 100% of the time, and you have gone public and said you're for it.
Kalen DeBoer says he has access everywhere.
We love it. Yeah, that's the guy I want running my program. You think Kirby Smart came in here, looked at the AD at Georgia, and said, you know what I want? I want you to mess around with my stuff. I'll accept this job, but what I really want is for Mark Richt to stand over my shoulder and just mess his fingers all up in my stuff before I eat it. Like that's who your coach is. That's what's happening at Alabama. Travaris Robinson can make whatever decision he wants. And again, at the time of this recording, he's at Georgia. Still a chance he ends up back in Alabama.
Yeah, I am extensively on Twitter every single time you say it, as soon as this recording, because I'm just banking on recording to end and news to hit. So keep going. News will break as
soon as we push end record, but we can't be held responsible for that. What I can say is, if he decides to stay at Georgia, it might not be the best looking thing on his resume right now. But check back in 2 years and ask me if he made a good decision to stay at Georgia or to go back to Alabama. Or if he decides to go back to Alabama, check back with me in 2 years And let me know when Alabama cleans house, when they fire Kalen DeBoer and he loses his job and is now becoming the defensive coordinator for Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, when Lane Kiffin turns down the Alabama job again. Let me know if T-Rob made a great decision then or not. As of right now, it is fantastic news for Georgia.
As far as I'm confirmed, by the way, as far as I'm confirmed, Robinson has now informed players at Bama that he is in fact going to Georgia. So again, news could break, but it's all pointing that way.
He's no chancellor of integrity, so you never know. He may be lying.
I don't know. I have no clue.
I wonder if any of those players that he informed
interesting.
At Alabama. Now, just hear me out on this, please. I wonder if he informed some of the players. It could have been any one of the players, maybe one we talked about earlier on the podcast, maybe others. Well, I wonder if when he informed them.
What did he say?
I wonder if he said, good luck to you. I wonder if any of them thought, well, I wonder if you're going to Georgia. I wonder if it's a wild speculation.
Because here's what's interesting. Again, follow the logic.
Mm-hmm.
Bama's out here telling everybody, forecasting, we're interviewing, we're going to give him defensive coordinator, we're going to pay him a ton of money. So he takes a job. And he comes back to interview at his place that he currently does not have to move his family or his things or anything
for
like that.
The biggest promotion he could possibly be offered.
Defensive backs coach to sole defensive coordinator of a Power 5.
Not a Power 5 program of Alabama.
Like top 5 program. Okay. And he said, nah.
I'd rather be assistant to the regional manager.
If I'm a player, I go, huh. That's telling.
Oh,
maybe I should do some searching. Maybe I need to look into a candle.
Listen, we can neither confirm nor deny. But wish T-Rob all the best as he sails over on his yacht from Tuscaloosa to Athens.
I can't wait for this off season. You guys have no idea.
It's going to be a wild time. As of right now, we've got coaches, from Eastern Illinois interviewing for the Alabama defensive coordinator job.
That's closer to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where Kalen DeBoer is from and coached and made his roots. Just let you know. It's not great.
Is it a talent-rich area? Is it talent-rich? Does it have a lot of talent? It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Florida could never have fallen to the poverty depths of they won national championships. Tim Tebow, like Chris Leak,
the old ball coach himself.
They did everything you could ever want a program to do. It would have been impossible for them to fall into disrepair. What would they have had to have done? Hired the wrong coaches. Oh no. Well,
Florida State went from Bobby Bowden and they continued their success, did they not?
They did. That is what happens. That is what happens with these programs. They just keep marching on. That's why Notre Dame is still the most relevant program in all of college football.
How long did it take Michigan to get back when they hired a legendary coach in Carr? I mean, Hall of Fame, legendary, incredible coach.
Yeah. Well, Alabama fans, that second lottery ticket, I'm sure, is going to work out just fine for you. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Right now, Travaris Robinson on the Georgia staff and Georgia fans, you should just be cackling to yourself about this. It is one of the craziest things I can remember happening in an offseason. For Georgia to not have a spot, we have to end the podcast. For Georgia to not have a spot open, how much must have Kirby wanted this guy? For him to go to Will and be like, hey, Will, you remember how you said the other week you wanted to spend more time with your family? What if I just gave you the same salary, but you just took this job over here, took like a obvious demotion? And Will's like, yeah, sure.
Sounds great, Kirby. Y'all, Kirby has no pulse. 0 pulse is in that man's arteries. And he is coming for anything he wants.
0 chill, 0 pulse. That's man's all gas, no brakes. It's going to be a fun offseason.
This has been Locked On Bulldogs by Locked On Podcast Network. We'll see you guys next time.